Hey friends, Amanda here, Barebones Living. Welcome back to my kitchen. Today what I'm going to be doing is making up a pot roast using the venison that Mike harvested this past fall. It's been beautiful here in Chicago for the past week, in the 60s all week, and now today it's dropped back down into the 30s, and I just figured that this would be something kind of warm and gets rid of some of that venison that we have taking up lots and lots of room in our freezer. But this is a good stick to your bones all day kind of a cook. If you are interested in doing something like this, it does take like 9 hours to cook. The longer that you cook it low and slow, the better it's going to taste, but so plan ahead. I did not plan ahead, so I'm going to be cooking it on high, which won't be as rich or maybe as tender. It can be done, but I don't suggest you do this. But let me show you what I'm going to be doing. Here you'll see I have 3 bone-in venison pork roasts. They're about a pound each, so I'm working with about 3 pounds of meat here. They're a little over a pound each, but once you take out the bones, it's going to be about 3 pounds of meat. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be covering these in some salt, some good high quality sea salt, and then I'm going to be searing them on all sides to really lock in a really nice flavor. For this sear is I have my bacon grease. I strain my bacon grease and I save it in my refrigerator. So I've just put some in the bottom of my cast iron. I'm going to put just a little bit more. And that's just something that it's basically a free cooking oil, and it adds some really yummy flavor. And then I'm cooking this on like a medium-high heat, and I'm just going to be taking one of these roasts at a time. I've already coated all sides with salt, and I'm going to sear each side individually. And you know it's ready when it lifts off. If it sticks, then the sear is not set. So I'll start it on this side, then I'll flip it over to this side, and then I'll get these 2 sides over here as well. Okay, so I seared all this venison on all sides, got it nice and seasoned, and I just stuck it right into my slow cooker. And then to that, we're going to be adding Worcestershire sauce, tomato paste, balsamic vinegar, thyme, parsley, pepper, garlic, onion, potatoes, and carrots. And then also beef broth and some wine. So I'm going to put in a 1.5 cups of liquid, and I did a cup of red wine and a 1.5 cups of my homemade beef broth. Then I'm going to be putting in about 2 tablespoons, or whatever I can get out of the rest of my open tomato paste that I have. But you're going to want about 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. Oops. And that's why spatulas like that suck. So then we're going to add to that a tablespoon of balsamic vinegar. And then a teaspoon and a half of Worcestershire sauce. For the seasonings, we're going to be adding a teaspoon of thyme, parsley, and pepper. So here's our parsley. That's about a teaspoon. Teaspoon of thyme. About a teaspoon of pepper. And then we're going to be adding all of our vegetables to that. And our garlic. So I have here about 5 carrots chopped up. I have 1 white onion. I have a pound of, these are russet potatoes, but like a new potato or something like that would also work really well in this. This is just, russets are what I had. And then 5 cloves of minced garlic. And this is a lot more than 5 tablespoons of garlic, but we like garlic, so I'm only going to put in like half of it right now. But all of the vegetables are going in now. Trying to spread it out as much as possible. I'm also at the end going to be adding some diced baby Bella mushrooms, but if I put them in at this point they would just be soggy, so that'll be before we, like right before we're ready to eat. I'll add those in just for a quick little warm up. And then we're going to turn this on to high for 5 hours. So this has been cooking for 2 hours now. And I just wanted to mention that I put the remainder of the garlic on top of all the vegetables. And then I sprinkled about a teaspoon and a half of salt on top of that. So I'm just going to kind of move this around in here. Maybe switch out some potatoes and carrots out of the juice. For the liquid, the cooking liquid. Make sure that venison is under the liquid line. So it's getting nice and tender and juicy. just gonna let it keep cooking on high for the next 3 hours. And then I'll switch it to low until we're ready to cook it, or I mean to eat it. And at that point, I'll add in the mushrooms. But then at least I know that it will be fully cooked. And the last cooking time, however long we have it cooking at low, will just be like a bonus flavor adding time. Alright, so this has been cooking on high for 5 hours. It's boiling, smells delicious. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to be pulling out those 3 pork roasts, or venison roasts, to shred them and get the bones out. And I'll just leave the vegetables in here to kind of marinate in that juice while I'm shredding all this. I'm also going to be adding in, I got 2 containers of Baby Bellas. And I probably could have gotten away with just doing 1, but I like mushrooms and they shrivel up a lot when you cook them, so I got 2. So I'm gonna mix this in. I'm gonna switch this over to low to continue cooking. And then I'm also going to be adding, I have some homemade beef gravy mix here. And I'm going to be adding this to the juice, our sauce, to kind of thicken it up a little bit and give it a little bit more of a beef flavoring. So I'll just mix that in. I'll just add in some nice added flavor and thicken up that sauce just a little. Okay, so this has been cooking on low now for a little over an hour, and we are definitely ready to eat. But as you can see, everything, this is a very meaty pot roast. The gravy mix thickened up that sauce really beautifully. All these vegetables are nice and tender. And it looks, smells, and I'm not gonna lie, I snuck a bite. And Cole was stealing the bits of venison as I was shredding it up. So we've already taste tested it. It is delicious. So I'm just going to serve this up in bowls. Make sure I'm getting all the different elements in there. I'm going to see if I can spoon up some of this gravy to put over the top here. But that looks delicious. I gotta spoon up the boys so it can cool down a little bit more, and we'll give it a taste test. Alright, let's give this a try. Got some venison and some mushroom and some potato here. Super tender. Vegetables are cooked all the way. It tastes delicious. What do you boys think? Good? Okay, so I just dumped all of this venison pot roast into a casserole dish for later to put into the fridge. And I have here the bones from those roasts. And I'm just going to throw it into this crock pot, the crock pot that I used to make the pot roast. I'm just going to put it back into here. And I'm going to make venison bone broth right in this crock pot. And I'm not going to wash it out. I'm going to leave all those little bits in there to add to the flavor of our bone broth. Okay, so I have everything in here that I want. I'm gonna do this on low for probably 3 days, like I do all my other broths. I'll leave a link up here for reference to my chicken broth video. I make all my broths the same way, just with different bones, and that is just one more use from the same, just another way to use everything from a cut of meat, and nothing goes to waste. So that was just another recipe of using the venison that Mike had harvested and using all the pieces of the meat and even the things that I don't want to consume myself, I just put into this broth, and we'll get the flavor out of that, but like any gristle pieces or stuff like that, things that I don't want to chew on, plus the nutrients in the bones, that's going to make a great broth. So nothing goes to waste. I cleaned out another bag of vegetable scraps from my freezer. This gives us more broth, and I hope that this gave you guys some inspiration, and I hope you guys enjoyed that recipe. It was really, really delicious. Mike had 3 servings of it. My boys ate it all up, minus the mushrooms. They don't like those, but that's okay. I'll take it. But it was super, super delicious and totally hands-off. Like I said, I would definitely say that if you want to do this, do the 9-hour low and slow cook would just be absolutely phenomenal. This is packed, that pot roast was packed with lots of flavor, the searing of the meat, the wine, and the homemade beef broth, the nutrients from the broth, the nutrients that came out of the bones that were in the roast were also in that gravy. There was some nutrients in there from that gravy, and then adding that homemade gravy mix at the end to thicken it up really made it something like if you had like a really good homemade bread or something like that to soak up all that good juice in the bottom. That would be really good too. But it was just a really great hands-off recipe that you could just let go all day, and it is a meal that tastes like you've been slaving over a stove all day, and really the crock pot just does everything for you, and you just put in great ingredients. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know we did. If you guys like this recipe, like what you're seeing, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any more of these videos, and definitely subscribe to the page and give it a thumbs up if you liked it. I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you guys for stopping by today and joining in on our journey here at Bare Bones Living. We'll catch you on the next one.